Okay, so this next video we're going to add our next little piece to this drawing. This is going to be a fence. We're going to draw it on this side, so the left side of our train tracks here. We're going to start by lining up our ruler with the vanishing point, and give yourself some space. Don't put it right on this line, so give yourself some space between this bottom guideline for your fence and the guideline of your train tracks. Okay, so you want to draw the guideline lightly because you're not going to keep the whole thing. You're actually going to be erasing a lot of it. So the next guideline, the top guideline, again, line up with the vanishing point, but put it underneath the horizon line. And draw your line between vanishing point and the edge of the paper. Okay, so as said previously, we are drawing a fence. So what we need to do, we need to make our posts, and the posts are going to be slightly different from the cross ties of our railroad, because these posts are going to be a little bit thinner than our railroad posts or railroad cross ties, and they're going to be a lot farther apart. Okay, they're also going to be vertical, so you want to make sure that you keep your lines vertical. Draw between, the top and bottom guideline. Make sure your lines are not slanting. They start to slant, that means your fence is not, it's going to be leaning, and we don't want it leaning because then your cows are going to get hit by a train. We don't want that either. Okay, so make sure that your lines are vertical. Now you can eyeball this again. Objects getting closer to the vanishing point get smaller, closer together, less detailed. So you can eyeball this again, or you can measure it out. I'm going to measure mine out so I can get the right measurements here. Okay, let's see. Make this one about 3/4 of an inch wide to start. And I've got just less than 2 inches. So I'm gonna make it maybe 1.25 inches this way. Do it just less than 1/2 inch here. And just again, make it smaller and smaller. And the same thing's gonna happen towards the end when you get this far away from, or close to the vanishing point or far away from the viewer. Things are gonna get smaller. So by this point, your posts are just gonna be like blinds, just like how that happened with the railroad. Okay, so I've got my points up to about here. That still gives me a lot of space here. So again, they're just going to be lines after that point. So then line your ruler up vertically with each of these marks and draw your line. Okay, so I don't really like how big this one came out, so I'm gonna make that one a little bit smaller. All right, so after this point, I'm gonna have to eyeball it. Again, these are gonna be becoming so thin, they're just lines because they're so far away, can't really see them. So the next step, we got to figure out how tall our planks for our fencing are going to be. So you're going to line your ruler up over here, and you've got to measure between your top guideline and your bottom guideline. So I've got 4 inches. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a 1/2 inch, put a mark down 1/2 inch below here and a 1/2 inch above the bottom guideline down here. And then each of these I'm going to mark 1 inch apart. So one mark there one mark there. Okay, so now I've got 4 marks between my top and bottom guideline that I'm going to then line up with the vanishing point. Do not draw lines through your posts. You want to make sure that you're always lining up with the vanishing point. So it looked like my ruler was a little high over there, so I had to redraw that line. So these planks are not quite done. They do have form, they're not paper thin, so we got to make them look like they have some sort of three-dimensionality. So what we have to do, we've got to line up our ruler again with the vanishing point. And we want the first one of these, that edge on the other side, to be not too far away. So give yourself a little bit of space, but not a whole lot. Now, you're doing this along the top side because this is beneath the horizon line, so you're going to be able to see the tops of objects, not the bottom, just the top. All right, so now that I've got my ruler lined up here, draw a line. Now for this top one, it's going to be slightly thinner because the closer an object gets to the horizon line, the less and less you'll see of the top. Okay, so last step to really kind of get these fully drawn out, you've got to make the fence posts kind of three-dimensional. These are going to be round fence posts, so not like the planks that, you know, the fencing planks were, or the cross ties that are round. So what we have to do, start here, and again, you're only going to see this on the first 2 or 3, maybe 4, depending on how much space you've given yourself for your fence. But start on the second line of your first fence post. Draw down, curve the line, and you're going to curve it back up this way. So you're going to cross that bottom guideline there. Just kind of make it look like it's curved and cylindrical. And then up top, you're going to draw kind of an oval with the edges at the points here, the tops of these lines, the tops of those vertical lines. All right, so the farther back you go, the flatter these are going to appear until you can't really see it. And 3 might be the farthest back I go. And you can't really see that too much. So yeah, 3 is the farthest back I'm going to go. Now you can erase your top and bottom guideline. You're not going to need those anymore, unless you're using them for your planks. You can use them for planks if they are part of that. Now, if you are at the point where you're measuring where your planks are, trying to figure out which one's which, you can always put marks in the ones that you feel are your planks for your fencing. Now what we have to add is wood texture. So the planks here and the posts are all wood texture. So if you have your drawing pencil, you can use a 4B pencil or a 6B pencil to get the lines down. You could use a 2B if you want it to be lighter. That's all fine. So for these are going to be, for the posts, They're going to be vertical lines. You also want to add some shading, so it's kind of like doing hatching. So make the lines closer together on one side to kind of give that illusion that it is darker over there, and let them go lighter towards the opposite side. But kind of leave them squiggly, so more of a wood texture line. Remember, the farther back you go, the less and less you're going to see of that. So by this point, it's, you know, pretty much shaded in. All right, so then for the fencing planks, those lines are going to go this way, so parallel to the top and bottom of each plank. And they're going to be slightly angled, so just keep them parallel to the top and bottom. So this is the finished shading of the fence post. There's still one more thing we have to do, but just to remind you guys, I left this light because, again, you've got your light coming from up here, the sun somewhere in the sky, so it's shining down on these fence posts. I left these white again, so make sure that the tops are going to be light and these sides are darker because, again, they're not getting hit directly with sunlight. So our last step to finish out these posts is to make them look like they are actually in the ground. So when somebody comes over, or to somebody making a fence, they have to dig into the ground for the posts to be stable. So we got to make it look like they are dug in. So I'm just going to add some grass down here. You can add, you know, rocks or dirt pile or whatever to make it look like your fence is in the ground. And you'll probably only see it about 3 back. All right, so that is our fence drawn. So tune in to the next installment to finish out this drawing.